Hey, I am Pam. I am your resident professional plant lady. How about that? One of the things that I do is repotting for people. And today I am going to take this big ass 20-something-year-old peace lily and I am going to divide it. Seems to be at a gentleman's house and he would like to divide it so that he can keep a third and give another third to each of his daughters. And I think that that is freaking lovely. And so I am happy to help them out with this. So I figured it's a good time to talk about some peace lilies. We don't do a lot of that because peace lilies are, I don't know why I don't talk about peace lilies. I have several kinds of them. They are a great medium light plant. They can get away with lower light. They're probably not going to bloom in lower light. Keep that in mind. You may know somebody who has like a 30-year-old peace lily, and they're pretty easy to take care of because as soon as they are looking real, they're thirsty. And as soon as you give them some water, they are going to perk right back up very quickly. So that's a good way to go. These can be a little fussy. Let's be real. While they communicate well about water, they also are very picky about it. They don't want tap. They don't want my tap anyway. If you've got a nice clean, non-chemical added, well or tap or whatever, they're probably going to be just fine. But for me, mine adds like fluoride or I don't know, some shit. And it's just, even just the trace amounts are just too much for these sensitive little bitches. So it can give them brown tips. It can, just cause some issues in general. They also are kind of sensitive to heat and cold, and you will get damage on those this time of year if it gets too close to a heater, or in the summer, if it burns or whatever. But that's really the main gist on these. They like a bit of a sandy, grittier, not chunkier soil. Add a lot of perlite in there because they do like to be moist, but they don't want to be wet. And so the best way to do that is have some sort of a moisture retaining base, which is going to be coir or whatever you like, peat, whatever. But in order to keep that from just being dense, heavy mass, you do need to lighten it up a little bit so that it's lighter, fluffier, shall we say, but it's still retaining that moisture, if that makes sense. This one, he says it has not been repot in at least probably 10 years, which means I have a really big job ahead of me here. I'm a little intimidated by this. I'm not gonna lie. It's always a little intimidating repotting someone else's plant simply because it's their plant. It's not my plant, if I fuck my plant up, whatever. But this is somebody else's and it is obviously meaningful to them. Otherwise they wouldn't be paying me to do this. So I have to be extra, extra careful. And on a plant like a peace lily who doesn't love to be repot, here we go. Soil that's in here right now is really moist and heavy, and I think that says something about the flexibility of some of these peace lilies. Just saying. Okay, I'm really putting this off as long as humanly possible, aren't I? Another reason is that this pot, I don't know if you can see, this pot has a curve here, and when you're taking something out, if it's wider down here, you're not going to be able to pull that thing out, right? Especially if it's root bound. It's going to be so I'm going to have to really, really be careful to get this thing out gently without breaking the pot because they want the pot. depending on how root bound these can be, they can be either completely clustered and grown into each other, and separating them is quite difficult just because you have to kind of almost unbraid them. This one, I think it was planted in too big a pot to begin with, and so that's really helpful for me now. But as for right now, this is... it's going to be really easy to separate. I got a lot of dead stuff down here. This one's... and that's how you separate them. That was monumentally more easy than the last one I separated, which, like I said, was playing some sort of game of underground twister that, anyway, they were having a great time and I was not. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a picture of these roots. I'm going to shoot a note over to their owner, and I'm just going to show them that there's a lot of rot going on and that I am going to do my best to remove the damaged and dead stuff, clean off any of that, and then I'm going to repot everything in a lighter, little bit drier mix. They are going to lose some of these, but they were going to lose them anyway because this is a big, big, big rotten mess down at the bottom. I love when people come to me and they're like, hey, this thing hasn't been looking very good. What do you think? Can you fix it? And I'm like, sure. And then it's because it's all fucking rotten underneath and I can't fix it. But I'm gonna do my damnedest and I'm gonna save what I can, and I will show you what it looks like at the end. All I did for these was dip them in a hydrogen peroxide wash, rinse them off a little bit, and then I just repot them in a real perlite heavy fluffy mix. And that was it. Let me know if you guys had any questions, and I will see you later.